All right, what's up, everybody? Back tonight. You got Reb, of course, and you've got my buddy Rexsteady with me, as always. The lovable, wonderful, beautiful, only a step down from Antonio Banderas in good looks, Rexsteady, who was just telling me a fascinating story about a redhead that has the perfect tits to ass ratio. Rec, and with
Yeah,
that
I did
knowledge,
math on this.
as everyone can tell, we're basically completely off the cuffing this right now. I'm just now getting moved into our new place. It's been about a week now, give or take, since I moved in.
Yeah,
So
yeah, because it was last weekend I helped you carry that shit up the
yeah,
stairs, and
that was an ordeal. If you want to tell that story, God.
it wasn't all that bad. It's just there's a lot of books in this crate, and then three flights of stairs. That's
Mm-hmm. You
really all there
know,
is to it. And about halfway through it, I realized exactly how out of shape I was because I started lifting,
same.
and I'm like, oh, this isn't off the ground yet. Fuck.
Yeah, same. And the worst part is I usually pride myself on being in decent shape. But I just realized I'm not on full screen. There we go. I usually pride myself on being in full. I had to hide the porn. All the Fuda porn that we've been talking about in the Discord server, which seems to be like a thing now that we're talking about a lot in that. At least Themgreer, I know, posts a lot about it. I mean, to be fair, I do too. So it's not like I'm going to throw him under the bus completely. But
I will never judge anybody. I will criticize it heavily, though.
yep, I don't know what the
I
fuck this
keep saying
is.
those as TikToks. One of my favorite little jokes there. It's just like, put a finger down, except if you put any fingers down, I hate you. Put one down if you would make fun of somebody for being a furry. And it's like,
It's like, put them all down. I'll just make fun of
it's
anybody
like,
for
I,
being anything because I'm easy. Look at
yeah,
my gap in my teeth and how fucking yellow my teeth look on this angle. There's a lot to make fun of with me. So
yeah, no, nobody's free of criticism. Like, I can't seem to get my mustache hairs from growing in this way for some reason. So yeah,
fair enough. Anyway, Rack, how have you been doing,
everybody's
man?
got something to make fun of.
Yeah,
Mostly just sleepy. I've been reworking my whole living area.
looks good.
I found out one of my main issues isn't that I have too much shit. It's
Hmm.
that I don't have proper storage for my shit. Because most of my shit
Yeah.
is either stuff that I've invested in to keep.
Hmm.
Fucking dogs barking, not at all during the day, but now. Now is when they decided to. Right.
What video
Anyway.
was it? There was a video I shot. I think God, like 3 or 4 months ago. And there was one part that I had to memorize, and it was like a whole paragraph. I don't fucking remember what it was. And normally when I'm in front of the camera, I basically take notes and I just kind of say the things anyway. But the problem was there was a lot of like dates and like numbers and all this shit that I had to memorize to make sure I got it right. And literally I'm nailing it, and then they decided to fucking work on the roof. And I was like, the only
Today.
time, yeah, the
Today.
the only time in the 3 fucking years I've lived here, you guys are gonna work on the goddamn roof. Okay. Fuck me, I guess.
And it was the worst time of year, too, because if I remember right, that was like a week into April.
No, no, no. This was
I'm up.
maybe like 3 or 4 months ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so this has happened twice
November,
then.
October. Oh, has it? Okay, maybe it has happened twice. Jesus Christ. I don't remember I'm trying to remember. Okay, maybe it has happened twice. God damn. It just goes to show you how crazy this week's been. I still don't completely feel like myself, as everyone can probably tell. If you're watching this, I don't look like myself at all. I probably look fucking tired as all hell. But I was telling Rec
We'll
that,
look back on it in a couple of years and it'll just be funny. It's like, God
yeah.
damn, my eyes are sunken really hard.
I mean, trying to have a conversation with me right now, half the time I'm like, what? Okay, yeah, sure. Like I've been basically, because you can ask Rec. I don't drink caffeine. I don't drink soda or anything like that. In the past 2 weeks, I've been binging fucking soda and caffeine like it's fucking nuts.
Yeah, the moratorium has broke on that. It's almost what, 4.5 years, and then just that was the thing.
Hmm.
And that happens during times of really really heavy stress. That's
Yeah,
just
it's like a
something that's
coping
hard to break no
mechanism.
matter what you do.
Yeah,
Exactly. Like lately, I've been stressed the fuck out. I quit vaping, mostly out of spite.
it's
And
always the best way to do things, though.
I know it's kind of funny because it's not like I'm doing this for my health. I'm doing this because I got tired of spending like $30 on liquid a month, and
Yeah,
like that's how cheap I am. That I'm like, that's an expenditure I don't want.
any vice, I mean, everyone's got them, of course, but any vice, essentially, you're just throwing money away if you really think about it. Because
Hmm.
for to be honestly, like caffeine, even caffeine, you don't need it. Like, granted, it helps. I know I'm gonna piss off a lot, and granted, I'm a fucking hypocrite, 100% for saying this as I drink my Coca Cola.
Well, sometimes you get stuff because it's a necessity. Sometimes, like water, like having access to
Yeah.
water, that's a necessity. If you don't do that, you die.
Yep.
But I like tea. I don't need to drink tea, but I enjoy tea. That's actually kind of funny. It leads into an interesting, like, more moral ambiguity type argument
Mm-hmm.
there, right? That, certain types of things have a certain level of consequence, needs versus wants, and how you're dedicating and allocating your time and resources to that. I'm gonna fucking skin whoever let that dog out right now. I swear to God. Anyway, uh,
I can't hear it
because it
on my
doesn't
end,
bother
but
me.
yeah, I can't
Yeah,
hear it on my end though.
some fucking asshole is gonna have like $3,000 headphones. Who's like, I hear a dog barking in the background when I turn my shit all the way up,
There's
and that.
always one. There's always one. It doesn't matter if
Uh,
you are a million subs deep or three. There's always going to be that one asshole that shows up. I'm sure they're going to fucking comment on me like having my side angle this way without even knowing that I have to put the camera here because I literally have nothing to put it on. So they
oh,
didn't
you're
get
trying to
far
make
enough.
yourself look taller.
Try to make yourself
No.
look taller. Motherfucker, I'm 6'4". Like, I don't have to do that. Like,
It's on a book that's just like off to the side of the desk because the shelf hasn't been put up yet for them to be displayed.
yeah.
What
But
do you
they're not
want
gonna
from
get
me?
far. But they're not gonna get far enough in the video. Man, this is a real
Hmm.
bitch heavy video on my part. I feel like all I'm doing is just bitching and moaning.
Sometimes you just gotta decompress.
Yeah, for real. Ugh,
I did that today. I said that. So, but like these things,
beautiful.
it is a very different experience too. Because like
Oh, you're
my
shooting
brother,
bigger rounds, you know.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
every gunfire, every gunshot you do, it's technically like a small explosion. It's happening in your hand. So you figure the bigger
Mhm.
the round, the bigger the explosion. Sort of, kind of. It's
Exactly.
not
And the higher the grain load.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I'm oversimplifying the fuck out of it, but that's the general gist of how that
I mean,
works.
realistically, that's all our weaponry is just
Yeah.
figuring out how to throw a rock harder and faster than the last time.
Mm-hmm. Basically
But
been
my
weapon evolution the past 70, 80 years,
Exactly. And then it's
maybe
like, well, hold
longer.
on. What if we put the same stuff that explodes to make the rock move in the rock, and we do that, and now we have rockets. I love that. I love that. That's a thing. It's so stupid, but
Oh
it's a thing, and
God.
I love it. Oh man. And
Well,
even
you know, if we're lucky, nah, I'm not gonna bring up politics at the moment because everyone else is fucking talking about it. I'm not gonna
that's
do
the
that.
and a part of me wants to like do every time one of these things pops up, I play
You
with the idea
can,
in my head of like
yeah, that's
giving
fine.
my opinion on it. Well, no, more so just the topic of politics as a whole, kind of a
Mm-hmm.
thing. Because every time something like this pops up really heavy in the mainstream and shit like that,
Mm-hmm.
I keep thinking like, I mean, I feel like I could crank one out real quick and then just, but I always talk myself out of doing it because
Why is
the
that?
one time I tried to do that is because I put it out there and it got no traction because it
Mm,
was literally buried at launch. So what was the point
that's very
of me
true.
investing the time to record this thing and post it just for it to be in a line of another 100,000
Mm-hmm.
plus people doing the
Do you
exact same fucking thing at the same time?
do you think if you had like let's say like a following like a Joe Rogan or something like that, would you post more content about that kind of stuff? Or is it strictly just the fact that there's not really because clearly there's an audience because people are eating it up a lot. Now this not necessarily based on you. I was kind of thinking of the question in general from like an anybody standpoint. Like because there's clearly an audience there, would it still be worth doing it, or do you think that you would still run the risk of coming into the same problem because everyone's out there doing it? Do you think it would still get buried, or because you've reached a certain level of status that you are able to get away with something like that? What do you think? I know it was a lot
Uh,
to
mm,
fucking pick apart there, or it could just be the YouTube algorithm. Once you've reached a certain level, they only fucking promote your shit and fuck off the
yeah, it
rest.
would definitely there would be a definite mix of the both there because if it's something I feel like I can have a conversation about with it like for example the thing Politics, I'm not that great with because there's a lot more emotion into that kind of
Mm-hmm.
discussion and shit. Oddly, ironically, I know with that statement, I have a much easier time having conversations with religious people and
Sure.
vegans and animal rights activists
Because
in
at least
general
they're
and stuff
telling
like
you how
that.
they feel. Like they
Exactly, and
believe what they feel.
I can have a conversation with them there too, and that's part of the problem that I have with this too is that even some of the people that I agree with on some things, like for example, lately on my YouTube algorithm and shit. Um, I think I let Sir Sex video the Crusader guy.
Mm-hmm. I
Um
love Sir Sick.
yeah, because he basically just does the um
Like flat
r-
earthers and
yeah, exactly, flat earthers, science videos, apologists for religion videos and stuff like that, and he just has his back and forth response and stuff like that. I think I let a couple of those audio play while I was playing prop night, and it just
love
now
that guy.
that's my feed again. So I'm kind of, it's so weird because I've been out of it for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of had, it gave me this weird flashback to just like, okay, when I first started watching these people and
God, I
paying
was living with
attention
you at the
to
time.
atheists. Yeah.
God
and
damn, that was a
it was
long time ago. Uh,
right, and I think it started even before that too, because the
yep.
whole thing with the skeptic community went for a long time too, and then somehow the conversation died off, gave way
Yep.
for other things, and part of I and I don't really have like a lot of evidence to explain this. This is just my interpretation of the events as I was watching them unfold. But it looked like the fatal flaw in an atheistic community came out really fucking quickly once the religious people kind of stopped talking about that and started focusing on politics again. So you had
Gotcha.
yeah, you left the atheists alone to have a conversation with each other, and it turns out like, well, hold on, like I'm pro life, but you're pro choice. I'm vegan and you're not. I'm a Republican and you're a Democrat, and it just kind of kept happening. And they found a way to chop themselves up more and more, and splintered off into different shit. So like none of the community is a community, which part of me is like good. The whole reason I identified with this and I was paying attention to this stuff is because I felt the kinship with these people who had a similar struggle to me in life. But then I find out we don't agree on like anything after that. So
And
it was such a cool
it's
thing to say.
yeah, it's not necessarily a bad thing to not agree with somebody on on you're not going to agree with everybody on everything, right? Like there's always going to be differences of opinion and whatnot, but it is kind of fascinating to think that people will always find a way to fucking bitch about something, considering the fact that nowadays, especially with the religious groups splitting off and starting interpolitical dialogue and bullshit. It just goes to show, at least to me, that like they probably really enjoyed arguing with like the atheist communities and whatnot. Because if you look at it now, the same people that were arguing against atheists are like the same people who are big. Now I'm not you know making any names or anything because I'm not knowledgeable enough in any of that shit to fucking do that.
Well,
I don't
it's
pay
still
attention
fucking
unless
hard to follow now,
yeah,
unless you're actively paying attention to
yeah.
that person. Then you're in
Mm-hmm.
your echo chamber.
Yep.
It's really hard to go back and forth between those two. I think it's a great thing when you start to see the death of the unification of a group of people, because then you find out exactly how different everybody in it is. We all need these foundational principles and things to unify ourselves with a group and with a cause and that has a purpose. But then once it's distracted for any amount of time, then it goes south. Like veganism as a thing for health
Mm-hmm.
and got hijacked by like militant animal rights activists and stuff. So now you have the people like my aunt who was just vegan because she heard that it was better for you, and she tried it. I think she did it for like 2.5 years, so she made it past the usual threshold for that,
What,
and then
three
just kind of said
weeks?
fuck it one day and had a steak. But yeah, it's about 2 to 5 years is the usual amount of time somebody remains vegan according to the statistics on that part, and
Yeah.
that's all going to be reported from people who started out trying vegan
Mm-hmm.
diets and the average time from when they started it and when they said fuck this shit. Um, Granted, they're not taking into account any of the people who started doing those diets, did like a shitty version of the vegan diet, then had an egg, and then went right back to their vegan diet until it started causing the problems again. Then they had an
Wouldn't
egg,
that
and then
just
they
be
so
vegetarianism? I can't even fucking talk nowadays.
basically
Vegetarianism, because correct me if I'm wrong, isn't vegetarianism just like vegetables, obviously, with egg and then
just
like
no meat.
no meat? So just
Hmm.
does egg count though? Because I mean, you're technically eating like a placenta, like I mean, or like an ovary. I guess technically,
And
right?
it, I think that's one of the things that's going to starts dividing up that group a lot too. Is the moral line is kind of arbitrary, and where you put that moral line
That's a good
depends
point.
on where you're from and what you believe and stuff. So like
That's
you
actually a
had
really good point.
yeah,
Most
and
arg
I love keeping track of the argument because it's fun to see how it evolves and
hmm
devolves in conversation and
Well,
stuff because you are diametrically hmm, sorry, that's a complete side note there too. I've been trying not to say diametrically opposed because diametrically just means two things that are opposed. So it's a redundant statement, but it doesn't make sense linguistically for an English
you
speaker
know,
to say diametric, but diametrically opposed
You
because
know what? You know what's funny about
there's
that
two.
though is the fact that is true. That is true. You're much smarter at me with than that stuff is. But I will say, it sounds way cooler. And I guarantee fucking tea, if you wouldn't have said that, 90% of everybody would have been like, "Oh wow, that's a really smart word," and then they would have liked you, but they would have liked you silently. But then there'd be the assholes that knew that, and they would fucking constantly hound you for being like, "No, you said diametrically opposed. That's a
You
redundant
act like you
statement.
so smart and you don't
There's only
understand how
two
the words
sides,
work.
not two divided by two divided by two. That doesn't make any
I
sense." It's like, motherfucker.
I do have a tendency to cater the way I speak to the person that I'm speaking to
Hmm.
a
I
lot,
don't think there's anything
and
wrong with that.
it's not inherently as long as you're not doing like as long as you're not pulling a Michael Scott or um there's a fucking director who's kind of famous for doing that, which is hilarious to me because like it's
The guy who made Last Jedi.
Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, Tarantino. Okay,
Yeah,
it's about to
because
say
he has
Ryan
that problem, and
Johnson.
it's so fucking funny because he's just like he even talked about it in a couple of interviews where it's just like he's like, "Yo, yeah, what's up, my man, Sammy J and stuff," and he starts trying to talk to him like that, which is funny because even now in the like the amount of time that he's been famous and he's been like living in like upscale places and stuff, Samuel L. Jackson really hasn't changed the way that he talks at
No.
all, and I love that because it's shows that he's still very much in tune with who he is as a
Hmm.
person, and even though he's famous, and there's no way that doesn't change your experience. You can't kind of have a not inflated ego without like some serious introspection and some like constant reminding yourself like only a man kind of shit
You have to.
without
Humility.
that yeah with that level of him because everywhere you fucking go people are either I love you or I hate you and there's no middle ground for that so it's a very extreme experience to have in life and
Very
from what
true.
I understand it most of the time everybody's reaction to Samuel L. Jackson is like oh my god that's Samuel L. Jackson.
That's how I would be. Now, granted, I would probably not bug him because it's like I'm sure this motherfucker gets bugged all the time.
Hmm.
It's like reaching out to YouTubers or anything like that. Like, sure, I've reached out to a couple of them in the past um, for help or advice or whatever. We were kind of talking about that prior to recording, but at the same time, you also have to understand like these are regular people too. Like so the constant hounding. It's like, yo, dude, they don't want to fucking deal with that. Now, to
Hmm.
circle back though to the thing with Quentin Tarantino changing his voice and like his voice and his speech style
The
up,
way he speaks.
yeah, I find that so fascinating because I I'm sure I probably do it to a certain degree when I'm talking to people, but I feel like for the most part I try to use the exact same vocabulary, the exact same style of talking because I feel like it's more genuine. I'm not saying anybody out there is not being genuine, but to me, I feel like I'm being more genuine when I'm just being myself. Granted, when I was in the army, I'd be like, Jesus Christ, you're like the fucking nerdiest fucking person that I've been. Like, well, I mean, do you want me to fucking try to pretend like I'm not? Like, I don't know what the fuck you want from me, man. Like, nah, man,
I gotta
we could go to the club and I'm like, I'm not that type of person though, man. Like, that's cool. But I'm not going to sit here and start speaking in various different types just because that's the case. But granted, I know there's a certain level of philosophy that makes sense, or not philosophy, but psychology that makes sense, where it's like we just naturally start to kind of talk like other people, and that's in
Mhm.
a way to make them feel more comfortable. Which
Well,
I
yeah, it's a
guess,
thing in etiquette. That
yeah, yeah,
etiquette
yeah,
handbook that you have,
yep.
I think it's on literally on
What is it?
page one or page two.
I
It's
think
like
I,
one of the first
yeah,
15
where
rules in there.
yeah,
I don't
where the
remember
fuck
where
is
I
it?
left it to.
It's
Side
it's
note for
funny we
anybody who
both
doesn't know
have
what we're
that.
talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love that. I love that this is the thing. I took a
yep.
trip to Mount Rushmore. First of all, my family's poor as shit, and so when you do go on vacation in a poor family, you don't go on one vacation. You go on all the vacations you can squeeze into that 1 or 2 weeks that you have off every like 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
And it is the most exhausting fucking thing I've ever done in throughout
Hmm.
my life. So I don't like traveling places as a result of this.
I'm
But
kind of in the
that's
same boat.
beside the point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So we
can
went and
do
saw
it.
Mount Rushmore.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, no, I'd say I can do it, but I like to, if I'm going to travel, I like to go and do like one thing, or I'm going
Hmm.
out there. Like when we went to Paramorphicon, we knew we were going
Yeah.
there just for that, so that was fine. But if we went
It
there
was
and it
so
was,
relaxed.
oh yeah, that was a great trip though, man. Well, the beginning of it started off a little, literally shitty, but then like it got better, and then it was such a nice relaxing time. We got to the fucking hotel, and it was just it was a good trip. It was a good trip. But go and tell the story. I'm gonna see while I'm doing that if I can find the laws or the rules of civility and all
Okay.
that stuff. But yeah, I
So
have it somewhere.
so if I remember, so while we're at Mount Rushmore and stuff, and we're
Hmm.
walking through and stuff, I see the statue. I don't give a shit. It's a carving in the side of a mountain. I get that it's really impressive and it's a cool thing that's made, but I've been seeing pictures of it my entire life, seeing it in person and stuff. It they it's like somebody telling you how amazing Empire Strikes Back is so much that when you go to watch it, you're like, it's all right, man. Like you
Yep.
really made this sound like it was gonna. Had they discovered it themselves, it would have been like, oh, this is astonishing. I love that. Yeah.
Yep.
But
And it's funny. We
the
both have the same one. That's the funniest part.
Yep. Fun fact for anybody, George Washington wrote a small, short, condensed version of an etiquette manual because he had a very odd belief for the time that etiquette, polite behavior, and like a level of self-respect is something that all men deserve. And in a free society, there should not be a situation where the elite are the only ones who have the ability to say, I'm superior and better educated than you, kind of shit.
Yep.
Everybody should have the access to that kind of stuff. So he wrote a condensed version of this of an etiquette book that he had been taught most of his life and stuff, and just kind of released it. And it's legitimately one of the funniest things I've ever read because the majority of it is like
Hmm.
simple things. And you think it reads like terms and conditions where it's like, hey, don't use the N word on our service, otherwise people are gonna have a fit with you and you're probably gonna get banned. Similar kind of stuff. It's like, hey, don't dig in your ass while you're talking to people. Try not to
Yep.
cough in somebody's face.
It's like, yeah, but what's funny though, and at the time you would think that most people didn't realize that because a
Mhm.
lot of the American people and just people in general were so fucking uneducated that it kind of, I mean, you can make the argument now that we're still just as uneducated, but I think we're just uneducated in a different way where we've reached a certain level of actual intelligence and education that the smart people back then are probably the stupid people now and vice versa because of how much we've evolved as a society. But oh god,
I've got a bit
I
of a
said the line, as a society.
a society. I have to disagree with you to a certain extent, and my main evidence for this is if you
Yep.
go all the way as far back as you can in history, some of the earliest graffiti you will find is just pictures of dicks in like Egypt and stuff. But we haven't really gotten all that far,
Fair enough.
I
That's
firmly
a pretty
believe
good
every
counterpoint.
group, yeah.
That's a pretty good counterpoint.
Every group has a level of etiquette and discipline and things like that. So in some cultures, like ours, you order the food the way you want it. But in other cultures, I think it's mostly Japan. I don't know specifically anywhere else, but if you order it and then you like pick the stuff out that you don't want, they were like, "Why did you order something that you don't like?" And it's like, "I do like it. I just don't like this one
Well,
particular aspect of
and it's the same thing with tipping too. Out there, they don't like you tipping. So like if you tip, it comes off as like, oh, like you're weak, you can't afford it or whatever. So if you tip
it." It's an
someone,
insult.
yeah, if it's an insult to them. So if you tip them while you're over there, then you'll get fucking like, they'll hunt you down and give you your tip back. That's just how like it is over there.
Mhm.
I actually
I
have a
saw one of those
funny.
videos with the
Yeah.
dude. It's great.
So I have a.
But no, no, go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I have a funny excerpt because I just pulled one randomly. Um, the 23rd of the rules of civility and decent behavior in the company and conversation. Which is funny. I actually don't follow a lot of these because I'm a fucking shithead, I guess. No, I'm just kidding. Um,
I try to, but they're not all relevant anymore. Like the thing with speech. But
yeah.
anyway, go ahead.
So this one actually kind of is still relevant, but it's like 22nd, and then I'll go to 23rd afterwards because they're kind of the same thing. 22. Show not yourself glad at the misfortune of another, though he were your enemy. It's like, okay, yeah, you don't want to, because you want to be better than that. Don't revel at the fact that they're fucked up or whatever. Okay, because it shows a certain level of compassion. But then literally the next one's like, when you see a crime punished, you may be inwardly pleased, but always show pity to the suffering offender. And it's like, yeah, no shit, like, like someone just
You're not
someone just got
supposed
their
to giggle at a hanging. What's wrong with you?
yeah. It's like just
It's like, yeah, but his
because
leg twitched and it was funny.
yeah, it was fun, but it's like that's not socially acceptable. Uh, B note. This is the 17th one. So it's funny is this one that I got. I don't even remember where I got this from. I got this in Alaska. Oh, it was a buddy of mine,
Mhm.
a really good friend of mine that he came to the unit right after, or sorry, right before I left. Great guy, really cool dude. Can't remember his fucking name though, because I'm a piece of shit like that. So I've forgotten a lot of people's names from the army. I just kind of black it out. Anyway, great guy though.
Okay, I don't remember 90% of high school for the same reasons. Just as
Fair
it's
enough.
stress, and then you leave. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, some people leave an lasting impact, but not for good reasons. So
Mhm.
the 17th one, then a lot of these are highlighted. They're not my highlights because these are too nice of a highlight because mine would have been fucked up. But be no flatterer, neither play with any that delights not to be played with. Yeah, just
That's a
don't.
nice one.
Yeah, don't flatter anybody. Yeah.
Well, don't flatter people for the purposes of
Hmm.
essentially making fun of them.
Yeah.
You know,
It's being condescending. What's the other one? Oh, what's the word? Where you're
you
subtly being an asshole. What's it called?
condescending.
Is it condescending? Okay.
Hmm.
Um,
Now
passive
that
aggressive
phrase is
too.
a little
Passive
bad too.
aggressive too. Yeah, that was earlier tonight. We were at dinner, and I was trying to figure out what the hell the name, because C's family was getting rid of a bunch of stuff, and I had accidentally. Whoop, my camera's all fuzzy. I had accidentally put a bunch of stuff they were taking to Goodwill into her parents' box, thinking that it was the Goodwill box, right? Because I was helping them pack up or whatever. And fucking, I did that, and her dad took it down. And I was like, wait, because then I could hear her mom being like, "What? I didn't want a scale. Like, why did they put a scale in the box? I don't want this." And I'm just like, "That was me. I thought this was a Goodwill box, but they didn't understand that I was trying to say that, so they were arguing about it. And I was like, no, I'm the one that did it. That was my bad. Like, I was bad. And then I couldn't think of the fucking phrase. I'm like, yeah, I was just trying to be an asshole. Like, I was like, what the hell is the word? Passive aggressive. I was trying to be passive aggressive about your weight. Like, because it was complete accident. I mean, she'd made the joke. We just couldn't figure out what the name of the phrase was. So yeah, I was
Passive
passive
aggressive
aggressive.
or condescension.
Either
Yeah.
way, I think it was passive aggressive. That's what I was trying to get with it, but I
Uh-huh.
just couldn't fucking remember.
But it's funny that you see it's funny that you bring that up too, because one of the rules in there, and I can't remember how far back it is, but it's like in the late 20s or something like that. Sounds like she's doing very well in her game today.
Yeah, sounds like it
But
is.
anyway, but one of them is you have an obligation to adjust the way that you speak to the people that are around you.
Hmm.
Not everybody has the same sensibilities. Now, in the context of what he was talking about for that rule, it depends on the class of the people that you're with. You do not conduct yourself the same way in a group full of drunken sailors as you do in high society. So he's kind of contradicting himself because the whole reason he's bringing up this etiquette thing is because nobody's supposed to be better than each other in this. But there are settings where you're expected to behave better. So it comes off as a bit of a as a bit of a hypocrisy, but it's not. It's talking about classifications. If you're out drinking with the boys, you're not held to the same behavioral standard as you are at dinner with your mom's at dinner at somebody's mom's house.
Makes sense. Makes sense. You're not gonna
Hmm.
go there. You're not gonna go to your fucking buddy's mom's house drunk off your ass. Maybe you will, but I would say, in generally speaking, you're not gonna do that. Showing
Hmm.
piss fucking drunk. That's but again, everyone's different. Who knows, right? One of the other ones
Hmm.
I
Well,
found.
this even extends to the whole reason I brought this up in the first place was that
Mhm.
it goes into that context of changing the way you speak for the people that you're around.
Yep.
The way I talk to you is not the same way that I talk to most people because I do not want to offend or insult them by using big words. I'm not calling them
Yeah,
stupid.
that
They don't have the time and the ability in their life to learn all this random bullshit. They
true.
communicate perfectly fine and they are perfectly articulate in everything that they say. They just don't have the necessity of learning gigantic words to say this exact same fucking shit.
Because if you try to hit them with that, it's almost like their brain kind of stops for a bit, and then they get uncomfortable because I'm gonna sound so fucking like so full of myself, but it's true
That's
though.
fucking
If
smart to me, bro.
yeah, if you use bigger words, they could think of it as like a hostile situation where you're like, oh, you think you're smarter than me, or they could potentially look at it as a situation where it's like their brain kind of like not shuts down, but it's like it becomes something more complex. So they're more focused on trying to understand what you just said rather than having the
Mhm.
conversation. So a lot of the times they could feel uncomfortable or even get anxious because of shit like that. Without
Mhm.
realizing it. Now, I still say the big words anyway, just because fuck it, I guess. But at the same time, I do understand where you're coming from with that. And that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
Now, not to change the subject, well, maybe partially. It's still the
No, go
same
for it. Go for
subject,
it.
but I did find one that
I
was
just
kind of
wanted
funny.
I just wanted to close that loop.
Close
It's
the
good.
loop. Hey, dude, I'm glad. That's why I have you here. That's why you're on the payroll. I have you to close the loop. You think we're like best friends? No, I pay you to close the loop. I pay him
I'm
handsomely
also
too,
here to help with the
with
bearing
kisses.
of the bodies and shit like that too.
Well, you know
I mean,
that's the
that's
big.
never happened.
We're gonna get the FBI called on us now,
Anyway,
but
I hope not.
oh god,
That was clearly a fucking joke, but jokes don't read
as
well in court.
they don't read well in court and they don't read well in society nowadays. Up, I said it twice. So
That's true.
the 55th one, eat not in the streets nor in the house out of season. So don't eat outside or in the house if it's not the right season. So
That was a normal thing
back
for
then, yeah.
literally like the majority of history until recently.
Which is interesting to think about. It's only recently, like, I'm sure if people from that time frame saw fucking Mardi Gras, they'd lose their minds. Now, granted, I've also seen the
No, that's
argument.
one of the exceptions
Yep,
that they mentioned expressly in that rule. During the season, festivals, you eat outside.
yep.
Everybody's outside to party, so party.
Would it be funny if it was like the opposite season? I mean, I'm fairly positive that's the reason why Mardi Gras is at that specific time is partially in route to that. I don't know the history behind Mardi Gras. I've never been to it before, so I couldn't fucking say either way. But and there's gonna be someone out there that's like, oh, you should know the history. It's like, I'm sorry, man. I've never been to New Orleans. I
I'd
don't
rather
know.
not go to a place where like the murder solve rate is at like
Is
22%.
that really all it's at?
Last time I looked, hold on, let
God,
me
they
see
need to
what the
fire
numbers are
their.
now.
Yeah, yeah. I'm curious now. We could start a whole fucking true crime podcast with that. You'll be Sherlock and I'll be Watson. I'll just be like a very bisexual Watson. So the new Sherlock show, basically.
Basically, yeah. God damn, that's such a problem too. And even I know we can't talk about it too much because I don't want anybody to steal the intellectual property, but
Ah, yes.
just given the idea with like the story that we were writing that I've taken over,
Yep.
uh, I know that's going to happen too because people
Mm-hmm.
can't fucking have two characters who are the same sex who have a positive relationship with each
Mm-hmm.
other without it being sexual. It's
Well, look at the
like
frogs. What was it?
different
The
levels.
what was the name of those toads? The kid stories, the short stories, with the toads.
I know what you're talking about too.
Yeah, it's like an old. But anyway, because they're buddies. Like that was the whole thing. But then like that was one of those things that they were like, oh nope, they're gay lovers. It's gay
Hmm.
coded. I'm like, no, it's not. Like, look, I mean, I don't have anything against like any of that stuff, right? But I'm like, come on, dude. We're really doing it? You can see how I just I've so little fucks about that stuff anymore. Because there's so much more important shit going on in the world. And I think people now are kind of realizing it, which is nice. It's just the sad part is that it's come to this point for them to realize, oh, we didn't have it as bad before. Whoops.
Hmm.
Not saying it was perfect by any means, but
Oh, good. Okay. Okay. So 33% now. So they've
oh,
improved.
that's perfect. Just for
Mind
shits
you
and
that
giggles.
they've had more murders in this last like
Oh, have there been? Oh,
2020
good.
or 2021, 218 murders, the most that they've had in 17 years, and it is amongst the highest rate in the country. Now that's just considering cities. Jesus
True.
Christ, that
And
is a lot of white light.
right.
Um,
Well, and that is also just percentages based on people. Like if we go to places where I guess with a larger population, the percentage might be higher, but that's also being like, okay, if 50,000 people get killed, but, you know, 40 I would say fucking 50,000 people get killed
a
and
few million
49,000
people in that area.
yeah, and 49,999 of those cases get solved. Hey, they have a 99% murder solve rate. 50,000 people still got fucking murdered. So it's one of those things that you do have to kind of look at because the numbers can be iffy when it comes to that. But at the same time, having a 33% murder successful murder solving rate is not numbers and odds that I would like to move to. Even if it was the smallest amount, that's not good odds that my fucking murderer is going to get caught.
I
Justice will
wonder
be
what it is
served.
here.
Yeah,
I
that's
gotta
what I was going
check.
to ask just for like just to see comparison's sake, just to be fair to everyone who lives in fucking New Orleans.
Crime statistics,
All
city of
three
Phoenix.
people that from New Orleans that watch the channel. I'm sure there's
Let's
at least
see.
three, probably.
Okay, so this doesn't
I'm
work
being
because this is just
presumptuous. Find out nobody from New Orleans watches. Like, oh well, we're catering to the New Orleansy people.
that would be a little interesting, wouldn't it?
Well, now that I've said it, there's going to be like ten fucking people that watch it from New
Ooh,
Orleans.
wow. Okay, so we like all right, mind you, our rate was a lot better. So from 20 just from 2013 to 2016, 2017 time frame, uh our successful percentage of cleared cases went from 90% to 60.
That's pretty bad. But what are the amount of actual case numbers though?
So let's see.
That's pretty rough
Murder
though.
rate, we have 146 murders in this
Okay,
in this.
that's better
That
than New
was
Orleans. So
2017 numbers, or sorry, 2016, 2015, 116 people were murdered. 146 were killed in 2016, and 161 in 2017. So we need to update our fucking numbers. It's been a hot minute. But yeah,
it's
our
Arizona though. Good
cleared
luck.
our yeah, right. So, and then now the good news is that this is down significantly from about 10 years prior in 2013, from 2013 to between 1994 2007.
Hmm.
200 homicides per year was around the average, with the peak being in 2003 with 241 recorded homicides. So our success rate for clearing these was about one and two. So 57% roughly recorded murder accountability were cleared. And prior to then, between the decade 1960 to 1970, the clearing rate for murder cases was in the 80%. So
Wow.
we are fucking swinging wild.
I'm not surprised. It's Arizona.
Yeah.
We're all over
So
the goddamn place.
New Orleans, it's you probably won't be murdered. But if you are, they're probably not going to find the guy that did it. In Arizona, I don't know. It seems like if you're
Well,
murdered every 2 or 3 years, we'll find them. But if it's not in those 2 or 3 years, sorry,
we take like 3 years off. So if you just get us on those 3 year intervals, then it's fine. God damn.
I love that.
Uh, I won't say where X just moved because he doesn't want me to put that online, which is fine. But he just moved
Yeah,
to where he moved though, and like,
yeah, and as I know it, it's one of the lower situations,
oh
mostly because
yeah,
it's homogenous in
yeah,
that area.
oh yeah. He was telling me, dude, it is so low speed there that like it's crazy. He's like, dude, it is night and day. He's like, you would love it, and I'm like, I probably would, honestly. I've kind of
Hmm.
wanted to move to like maybe it's because I lived in Alaska for so many years. I will say Alaska, if you're not in the army, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, and it's very relaxing. If you're in the army, I probably disagree with that, but
If
to put it
you're
lightly,
just there to be there, amazing.
you'll love it. If you're not, you're gonna fucking hate your life because it's the army. But
Well, and you like camping or
yeah,
lodging,
well,
one of the two.
even if you're not super into that, the people out there are really nice. Like they're very chill, they're very relaxed because there's not a lot going on. Everyone's just kind of there, kind of chilling. And where he's at now, it's kind of the same thing. Like he was speaking with a couple of the police officers down in the area, obviously not Alaska, but
Mhm.
he was talking to them and the cops were like, look, man, honestly, there isn't much that happens here. If you want low speed and just like not much going on, like just don't drive over the speed limit. You'll be fine.
Now the only negative here in this situation is that yes, like most of the crime super low,
Hmm.
most of all those situations super low. The
But
group of people they all pretty much agree in the same shit, but it's a lot like a nursing home in that the STD rates for the area fucking skyrocket because
yep,
there's nothing to do but each other.
yep, yep. Well, ironically, in that area, and this might give away if you know where to look for statistics like this.
Hmm.
This might actually give away what location it's at. But this area, believe it or not, has the highest rate of gay porn consumption. Now, there's a specific kind though. It's not just gay porn. It's a specific religion that they look for, and it's I'm not I'm dude. I am not even shitting you this. So when I was out in San Diego, um, C's friend works in the adult entertainment industry. And we happened to be at this bar, and I asked him because I didn't know what he did when we met up for lunch earlier. So this is a true story. I didn't know what he did, so we were just chatting, and he was cool. And then after we had a couple beers in him, and we were chatting, he was telling me, he's like, "Oh yeah, I work in marketing and market research for such and such entertainment industry company." I'm like what? Really? And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like,
Cool.
"Oh, cool. All right, cool." And so we just started talking, and I'm like, if you don't want to talk about this, it's cool, man. I know it's like your day job. He's like, no, it's fine, whatever. So he told me that there's a specific, and this is the reason I'm not saying which religion it is because it'll completely fucking give away what state he's in. But if you're smart enough, you could probably fucking figure it out. But he was telling me that there's a specific religion of converting straight people of this religion into gays, and that is the highest consumable porn in that area. And not just that area, there's so much of it that's consumed, it's actually the highest consumed rate in the entire country because of that. And that's including other fetishes, feet. So sorry, Themguri, missed this one. This even beats foot fetish, all that stuff. Yeah, you can go ahead and type it in the chat. That's fine. I can't look at it though. Oh, you know what? Message it to me because I can't pull it up because I'm recording.
Oh
Unless
no,
you
I
just
just wanted to see what the highest one is for this state.
oh, okay. But this one, and that's a fun fact, people. It's true too. That this one category trumps so much of every other category. It's insane. And you know what state he's in, obviously. So it's crazy,
Yeah.
just how much of it is consumed from just that one area. And because you're right, there's so little going on there, and and I guess everyone's just so fucking closeted that like there's just so much being consumed of that just that one specific type.
Oh boy. Okay, so we got a lot of
All right.
situations here. So this
Is
is
it is this kind of like the
uh
murder rate where
this
we're just all fucking over the place?
a little bit, yeah,
It's
all
Arizona,
right, so
man.
So and this is I'm just checking out the maps too because I don't want to read through the whole fucking
Okay.
article for this. So this is just the map. Most searched for terms in the United States. This
Hmm.
is categorized by region. Lesbian takes up like a good 89% of the map.
Why am I not
There's like
surprised? Oh, and to follow back on
17
that too.
states that don't do it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, every other state lesbian, and then
Wow.
one, two, three, four, five. Five of them are stepmom. One, two, three,
Only
four,
five? Really?
five,
Wow.
and then five are stepsister. Uh, what shit? What's the one just below South Dakota?
Why couldn't you have said North Dakota? That would have been so much easier.
Oh no.
Uh, yeah, yeah, I know, I know. Is it Wisconsin or is it
Hold
Minnesota?
on, let me
Is
double
it
check. I
Wisconsin?
can't. I'm fucking retarded. There's a map right behind me.
I'm so geographic. That's funny.
Ah, Jesus Christ! I literally just use
Oh
this
my
for
god.
work because while I'm talking to
I'm sorry. I
somebody
don't mean to
in their,
laugh. Man.
no, you're okay. Their
Uh,
state is in the
Cause
address on there, and I
I
just go like, "So you're in Eastern
okay.
Time Zone, so that means."
Here's what's funny. I've noticed that map's been back there the whole fucking time, and I'm not even shitting you. When you said that, I was actually looking at the map. When you were like, "What states below?" So I didn't even think to be like, "Look at the fucking map behind you." So I'm just sitting here like, I'm sitting here trying to look like I don't even know, man. I don't even know. Anyway,
Fuck. So to answer the question, it's Nebraska,
Nebraska.
and
Surprisingly.
apparently Nebraskans like cartoon porn, specifically not hentai, cartoon.
Okay, so you're talking like Jessica Rabbit and all that shit. Okay, that makes sense.
Mhm. And then
I'm kind of
Tennessee is also
surprised.
cartoon porn.
Not hentai though, just cartoon porn.
Yeah.
That's okay. Two things with that. That's funny that it specifies it's not hentai. That
No,
actually
it
is
just
really
says
funny.
cartoon, so I'm assuming it's both. But
Probably both because I doubt that they know the. Well, okay. Here's the thing. What I've noticed with they probably do specifically mean just cartoon though, because in these because of the few videos that I have done on the adult entertainment industry, these people are very specific in what they talk about. So like I'll put it this way: when you talk with people who are in the adult entertainment industry, they know what the
mhm.
fuck they're talking about. Like they just fucking know. It's not one of those things that it's an oversight or oh they just don't know what anime is. No, no, they fucking know what it is. They're not stupid.
Oh yeah, that you live in that world, and I just
Mm-hmm.
anytime this is the main difference. I know a lot of random shit. I literally and sometimes I don't realize I'm telling somebody something that might say something gross about me, but it's literally just because I'm like that can't be a real thing, and then 2 hours later I'm like, oh my god, now
That's
I
a
know the
real thing.
entire history of where the fucking word lolly comes from as a result of that question, and I cannot believe they made two fucking movies out of that book. I was just talking to somebody about this today because the fucking that band Lolita Complex came
Mm-hmm.
up. They were doing
Is
the
that what
cover
the
song for
movie?
Tattoo.
You talking about the movie Lolita? The
Yeah.
fucking what's it called? The what's his name? He made The Shining. Stanley Kubrick. The Stanley Kubrick movie, or
Shit, I can't remember. I don't want to look it up, but there's two. There was one of them made in the black and white era of film, and then there was another one made, um, in
because I
like
know I'm
2004 or
yeah,
something.
because I'm pretty sure the black and white one was Stanley Kubrick.
Hmm.
I'm
That
fair.
was made in like
60s or 70s.
it had to be, yeah,
Yeah, I'm fairly
because it didn't
positive
need to be black and white. The camera quality was fantastic.
it was
But the
probably
fucking
Kubrick then.
subject matter was shit.
Yeah, it was probably Kubrick then. If it's the one I'm thinking, I know he made a movie about something like that. I'm fairly
Hmm.
positive it's Kubrick because what was it Doctor Strangelove? That also didn't need to be in black and white, but he shot it in black and white anyway. Um, and
He
you know
was
what's
doing it before the
yeah,
photography moms on the weekend.
everyone wants to be a photographer, I guess nowadays. You know what's funny?
Black and white photo of a brick on the side of a road.
Yeah, I just
Anyway, go ahead.
it's I just thought of something funny with that, but anyway, it's completely off topic. But you know what's funny though is despite the fact that you and I are big movie buffs, we don't really talk about like actual film on these off the cuffs. I've just kind of noticed that. Like we do
Mhm.
like we'll bring them up, but we'll never really discuss like our wealth of film knowledge and shit. And it's kind of funny. Do
Hmm.
you think that's just because you and I talk about it so much in our daily life, we just don't think to do that here? Or do you think it's just a matter of, like, why do you think that is? It's kind of interesting. I just thought about
That's
that.
a good point. Usually we're picking a subjective topic about it too. Like for
Yep.
example, I did a Halcyon and Bedlam with my
Hmm.
friend Dan,
Yep.
just about swords in
Great
Game of
topic, too,
Thrones.
by the
So
way. You guys should go watch it.
yeah, yeah. Link in the description. Don't do that. It's fine.
It'll probably
Um,
be there, though. So if I remember to. Sometimes I fucking forget because I'm a dipshit.
uh, it did happen though, because I primarily watch your videos on my personal YouTube,
Hmm.
and then I go back and rewatch them on my like Persona one. I spent money on that, by the way.
Looks good.
Um,
Looks really good.
yeah, the only part of it that annoys the fuck out of me is if I turn it on and it like comes out like that. So it's like ugh.
You know what's
And then it
funny?
only gets worse.
Yeah, on the side, you can kind of see it on the calendar.
Hmm.
Like if you turn it on,
Really?
you can see it on the calendar. Yeah.
Well, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, what the fuck? Like I'm just gonna buy you
Power of
a
the sun.
for your birthday already passed, but
Yeah, don't worry about it.
maybe I'll get you a higher
Eventually I'll
quality.
invest in it too because I got to get some better like wireless headphones and stuff. Because I have my mic, and
And
then
it's a good mic.
this one's okay, but this is my one for work and stuff.
Yeah.
And this headset's okay, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Anybody who's looking into get these the Java headsets and stuff, these things are like $230. They are comfortable for about 2 hours,
Hmm.
and the fucking this get all of the fluff around the side does not cover
See,
the
I'm
fucking
see, you know
mic,
what's funny?
so it just presses into your ear.
I'm still rocking the Turtle Beaches you got me for my birthday. Was it my birthday or was it for Christmas? I can't remember. But whichever it was
Ah,
for, I know you got I've been still rocking these for what, 4 years now?
I think so I actually got them for you because you had left yours at my house, and
Right.
uh, and
Right.
then I just told you it's for your birthday, so you would stop feeling bad.
That's right, because I did feel bad. I was like, "No, dude, these are
Yeah.
fucking expensive." You know
You
what's
beat
funny though?
yourself up too much, dude. I love you,
Yeah, I love you
I'm
too, man.
happy to do this stuff. So
I
never feel bad for that.
I appreciate
I
it. I feel like I've gotten
I've
better where I don't apologize for fucking everything like I used to. I feel like I've gotten better, but I still do fall into that old habit.
hmm. And then that's just, well, actually, ugh, this is kind of circling way back to the psychology topic too. My
Yeah,
love
absolutely.
language is basically acts of service and gifts and stuff like that. So the way I show my appreciation for the people that I care about is I try to do or make something for them,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the times that's just how that comes out.
Yeah.
I've ordered headsets for you. I've ordered headsets for my friend Jordan,
Mm-hmm.
because his were breaking, and he's got 7 fucking kids, so he can't afford to replace his headsets every time they break.
Poor guy.
Um,
God damn.
he ba- yeah, he basically uses his Christmas bonus every like 3 or 4 years so that he can replace his console. And that's yeah.
God damn. Well, it's probably the reason why he doesn't have a PC. Then I'm assuming.
Well, that and the children. So like,
Yeah, they'll break them.
yeah.
Or he'll break the children if they break the PC. So it's it's
He's
one or
a
the other,
he's a really
unfortunately.
good dad. It's fun. It's such a weird thing too because it's one of those funny things. Like he does have anger issues. Like but it's like my anger issues and stuff where it's like very self-defeating.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to his kids and stuff, he will be like, "What the fuck are you doing? Stop it! You heard your mom." And then he just comes right
Oh,
back to it and he goes, "Sorry," and I'm like, "No, it's okay. It's okay. I
it's
understand what that was."
all good,
And,
buddy. Yeah.
yeah, because that's just I think the dad voice is something that comes out of you too. And I know my brother's dad voice is going to be funny because he sounds like me, but he sounds like me after I've been talking for like 12 hours and stuff. Because early in the morning, I hate it too. I've recorded a couple of TikToks for it, and I go back. I'll check the analytics on them and stuff every now and again, and I watch the video, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! I wish my voice sounded like that all the time
Why is
instead
that?
of
Do you
just
know
like, yeah,
why?
it's
Oh
because
yeah.
it's rested and you're thirsty, so your
Oh,
throat is
the
dry.
diaphragm. That
Like, it's
makes
almost
sense.
like yeah, it's almost like you just drank it's almost like you just drank hot coffee and
Mm. I
but
wish my
you're
voice always sounded like this. That'd be amazing. But
right. But then I'd probably be complaining even then too. If my voice always sounded
yeah.
like my morning voice, then I'd hear people what's his name? The There's a guy on YouTube. He does a lot of like the nerd shit. I keep forgetting his name. He's also a heavy rock singer. Um,
He's into nerd shit. Is he like one of those social commentator nerd people, or like he
mhm.
just talks about
Yeah,
like nerd shit?
let me
Is
see
it
if he
like a part
popped
of the
up.
EFAP people, or are we talking like
I don't think
new
he's
rock
done anything with
stars,
these.
or?
No, let me see. Ah, Young Ripper.
Oh, Ripa.
That's
Oh,
it.
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Like
like
that guy.
Ripa.
That guy's got a
Oh, he's got a cool
rich
voice.
fucking
Yeah,
voice.
yeah, yeah. No, I love Ripa. I don't always agree with everything he says, but he's also one of those people that he won't always agree with. I'm sure if him and I ever had a conversation, he wouldn't agree with everything I'd say. He's a cool dude
Mm.
though. I like him.
I, I can respect that too because I
Yeah.
don't like, and that's one of the. It's funny. It's circling way back there too. That's one of those things that I found out about a lot of the atheist stuff too. Is that, and I had to make a comment about that too because like I might agree with you that I'm not convinced that God is real,
Hmm.
and that's usually where that ends. But then it goes like well I'm pro vaccine mandate, and I'm like I'm not, but it's not like oh you shouldn't get it. It's more like I you
I don't
shouldn't.
like people telling other
I'm
people. Yeah.
a fucking American. You don't tell me what I'm allowed to, what I can and cannot do.
Yep.
Plain. That's the attitude that I have
Hmm.
towards that. Or like the when I have conversations with atheists and it turns out they're vegan and I go like fucking why? And like well because and it's such a funny thing too because like you kind of have two like psychological countering groups when people do that when they lose their faith and they lose that
Yep.
in their life, they try to replace it with something. So you have one group who throws the baby out with the bathwater and like goes straight into paganism or Satanism and stuff
Hmm.
like that. And sometimes that works out really good because it's well one it always kind of baffled me how Christianity took over more of the world than most of the pagan religions did.
Hmm.
But I think it was mostly because the pagan religions were super permissible, and most of the people in the pagan era and stuff are like, "What's your god's name? Okay,
It's
that's cool.
like, all right, whatever.
What does he do? Oh, okay, super powerful. All right,
Yeah.
whatever."
Well, okay.
It probably if you went back in time and you like got automatically downloaded with the language and stuff so you could actually understand people, it would probably sound like people arguing over who's better, Superman or Shazam.
That's fair. That's fair because
Yeah.
I mean that's all it's really translated to nowadays. Like if you think about it, one of the few things I'll agree with, like the nostalgia critic that he said back in the day, is superheroes are kind of like today's like Greek mythology heroes or Norse mythology heroes. So you go back in the day,
Mhm.
you had like Achilles, Hercules, Odysseus, and all that stuff. It's like your Batman, your Wonder Woman, your Superman. It's that the
Mhm.
storytelling has just evolved. No, I wouldn't even say evolved. It's just we just like different heroes because if you go back even 20 years, the big thing was fucking Gundam Wing and Dragon Ball Z and all that stuff. And Dragon Ball Z is still popular today, but you've got shit now like My Hero and Demon Slayer, and this is just anime. I'm not even getting into like books or Harry Potter or video games. I'm just looking at a small subcategory. So it's like literally we've just changed our interest into talking about these things that we think are cooler.
Yeah,
An interesting point though you brought up is people throwing out the bed, or, I'm sorry, the baby with the bathwater kind of
baby with
aspect.
the bathwater.
Yeah, and we get into vaccines and pro and what all that shit. You know me, I don't give a fuck either way. But it's an interesting point though, is the fact that I don't know if you want to say your current vax status. Do you want to fucking say that on here? Because you know me, I don't give a shit either way.
I I'd rather not, just because
That's fine.
I know like one or two people that I work with and stuff too, and I hate that I hate this attitude on
Yeah.
the internet and kind of stuff where it's like, oh, the things you won't say more about you than like
It's
no
like, no, it
no
really doesn't.
you can only take from me what I give you.
That's true.
That's plain and simple. I am not going to make any kind of assertions or assumptions about what you think and believe. I have done that in the past, and it was
Hmm.
just as much of a fucking mistake then as it is
Yeah.
now in discourse and stuff. Like I can't
That's
just
okay.
assume that because somebody's vegan that they're stupid and that they
Hmm.
don't actually have a good argument. Like Earthling Ed,
Yeah.
he's a pretty good example of this too. Early Earthling Ed,
Hmm.
fucking idiot lunatic. Now Earthling Ed actually has kind of like a decent cohesive
Hmm.
argument to put in place. I don't agree with the premise of his argument,
Hmm.
but he's actually starting from a place that's reasonable and not saying stupid shit like, "Oh, we don't have fangs and we don't have claws, so we don't supposed to eat meats." that's fucking stupid, and you figured that out, and I appreciate that you've evolved your argument over time. So
And I think
I don't
that's
know if
what's
he'll ever see this, but if he
yeah.
does see this, I appreciate the evolution of your argument, even though I fundamentally disagree with
Mhm.
where I was introduced with you at the beginning.
And
So
I think that's
anyway.
fascinating because there's a lot of people like you and me out there that because you and I have disagreed on many things and we've disagreed on many things publicly. We've debated not in like an angry sense, but we've talked about things because we have different opinions. I feel like that
Hmm.
we are still at the point now where there are two different categories of people where it's like it's okay to disagree with people, but then you get these other fucking people that it's funny. It's almost like this conversation is coming full circle because we're getting back to like the religious fucking nutbags and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
we can have disagreements on stuff, but we're still good. We just disagree on the actual ideas and philosophies and whatnot on things. But then you get these other people that are like, oh, because I disagree with that, it's like, oh, well, then you're just a fucking piece of shit. And that can be both religious, non-religious, left, right, all that jazz. It is fascinating though that
Hmm.
we can get to a point where it doesn't matter if we agree or disagree. But there are to me, I think there's really just two different types of people. If we were to be so black and white about things, which I don't think
Hmm.
everything is ever that much because my philosophy is all truth is relative. Aside from like absolute truths, like 2 + 2 is going to equal 4, right? There's that. It's kind of hard to debate that. But in terms of like philosophically how things should be done, most truth, all
It's
truth is
up
going
for
to be
debate.
relative. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Like
every
I like
person's
the
going to believe
Rick and
something different.
Morty.
Okay.
And I love the show, but I hate that quoting it now. I mean, it's like, oh, you're one of those people. Like, no, I'm not a fucking screaming on the McDonald's counter about Szechuan sauce Rick and Morty fan. I'm like the one where it's like, this is a funny show that I appreciate, and I can relate to the character in a
Yep.
certain sense
Mm-hmm.
of that nihilism and that defeated attitude and stuff that
Yep.
he's lost his way in life. It reminds it I can relate to the character in certain aspects of
Mm-hmm.
it too, and I can recognize the flaws and the merits and the benefits and it's an interesting show, but it's somehow also it's somehow really complex and really satirical to the world without people really this is the danger of satire too. Sorry, I'm getting into a whole fucking rant. Anyway, circling back to it, my the quote that I like for this type of situation was in Rick and Morty. Remind the last thing you just said before I went on that rant.
Truth being relative. Um,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, I remember what I was going to say now. So basically, in terms of truth, right? Everyone you're going to meet is going to believe something different. Whether it's fucking wrong or not, they genuinely believe it's true. So in that regard, all truth is relative because you're going to meet people that even if the answer is fucking wrong, they're still going to believe that it's right. That's just how it is, or vice versa, right?
Mhm.
So, if we look at it in the basic of terms, in complete black and white standard, which I don't really believe in black and white. I think there's going to be so many shades of gray when it comes to everything, that and not just the
Mhm.
pup. He's just taking a nap. There's your pup. He's taking a nap. Not that gray, but in other terms of in shades of gray, there's going to be the people that are going to whine and complain about your personal beliefs and ideas and personally hate you because you disagree with them, and then there's people that just don't give a shit, like and they
Mhm.
don't give a shit in a certain regard where it's like I can do my thing and that's fine, you can do your thing and that's fine. If
Mhm.
we look at it from the basic standpoints, that's where I feel like where we've been split down the middle. There's the people that give too much of a shit and people that don't give a shit at all.
Mhm.
What's your
And
thoughts on that?
I'll pause it because this isn't a rebuttal. I do agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I just like I have more of a summation towards it because I
Okay.
have put so much thought into this too.
Yep.
The attitude that I put forth towards it is, and oddly enough, this is one of those things where, regardless of what your idea is, regardless of what affiliation you have, this is something that I think is technically universally true. We are all just trying to do the best we can with
Yep.
the situation and the information that we have at hand. And
At
the way I
that
like
point in
to
time.
sum that up, exactly. And the way I like to sum that up is with a quote from Rick and Morty, where he just goes like, your morality is completely subjective. The like in this universe, it's considered moral to eat deceased relatives. So it's like everybody's just trying to do the best they can with this with the information and the situation they have at hand. So
Mm-hmm.
if you could possibly justify a situation where you might have a certain level of scarcity of food and stuff like that, and it's more advantageous for your group to just eat the dead, than it would be to not, then you're in a situation where certain moral permissibilities are relevant to the
And
conversation versus
yeah,
situations like ours where we're not in that situation. So that's called desecration of a corpse, and it's not okay because there's no way to for in our mindset with the things that we have available to us to make that morally permissible.
mhm,
That's not a justification for all things, like, oh, in a certain context everything's morally permissible. No, the only way that something is morally permissible is if it can be considered and relevantly advantageous to most, if not all, parties involved. So that tosses out pedophilia, that tosses out slavery, that tosses out cannibalism, that tosses out rules like trial by combat. You cannot, there's certain
dueling
things you cannot morally permit because it gives an unfair, unreasonable, and impermissible advantage to one over the other. It doesn't work like
makes
that.
sense. And you know what's interesting too is that there could be an argument made against that in a certain aspect too, with the Rick and Morty quote. I actually
Mhm.
agree with you 100%. I was thinking that you could say, in terms of like history, right? Because history in itself is written by the winners and everything and all that jazz. Like if Hitler
Yeah.
would have fucking won, he would have been a god among the people that saved the world from tyranny, right? Now, granted, the way you could rebuttal that to go back to the original quote. See, this thing comes full circle every single time because you can go back to that's because subjectively he thought he was morally doing the right thing. So you could always come fucking full circle with these arguments because even if you make an
Yeah.
argument for one, it's like the other one. So it's like the fucking snake that's constantly going in a circle eating itself. That's all we
Well, and that's
are.
also where communists and socialists, which I cannot bend on that. I think they're the same fucking people. The only difference is that mostly if you take the time to actually listen to the quotes of the people who were
Mm-hmm.
presenting these ideas and stuff, socialism is just communism without pretending like they're being altruistic. They're literally just saying like, no, no, we're gonna do this shit, and you guys have no say in the
They've
matter.
been proving
Sorry,
it now, so
basically. But
look,
the whole time, every
Democrat
time, say it.
democratic socialism sounds great on paper until someone's got to fit the bill.
Hmm.
Socialism
Well,
sounds great until someone's got to fit the bill.
and that's the problem that you're going to run into with like every type of thing too. It's like, okay, and actually, funny enough, like this comes up so many times because it when it comes to like the laws and everything like that, I attempt like this is not a permissibility, this is not a justification of the situation. This is just an explanation of how these things come to be. We are reactive. We nobody had the
Yeah,
forethought to make a law about speeding until some jackass was barreling through town and almost ran some people over, and then they said, "Hey, you're disturbing the peace. I gotta fine you. Give me $7, or I'm gonna
there's
take your horse
always
and
a few people that
arrest
ruin
you."
it for the rest of us,
Yeah,
or
and
accidents that
that's
happen.
just how that goes. Yeah, so like speeding laws and stuff like that, and it like pressures from the group and everything. And not, like you said, nothing is totally black and white. Nothing
Yeah,
is straight up like, oh, they were doing this and this was the effect, therefore that was the intended cause. No, it wasn't. Like my school, they were trying to or like everybody has a story about this for their school. The school is just trying to get students to behave, learn the shit that they're supposed to learn, and fucking go home without incident. But the way they try to solve these problems causes issues and gets them in trouble. So like my school, we had a couple stoners and the teachers found out about 420 and so they locked all of the bathrooms and everybody was like you can't prevent children from using the bathroom.
like
This is
that's
fucking
illegal.
bullshit.
Yeah, that should be
Yeah,
fucking illegal.
even if it's not illegal, it's just an immoral thing to do. But it's like, well, we can't have kids smoking weed in the bathrooms. Like, maybe you should be fucking taking more care of who's actually in the bathrooms and what's happening in there. But then you can't do that as a response
Yeah,
because now you have an adult
in the children's
hanging out in
bathroom.
the kids' bathrooms.
Yeah,
I
you
wonder
can't
what
do
could go
that.
wrong here.
Yeah, it's like the
So,
idea of genderless bathrooms. Sure, sounds
mhm,
great on paper, but then there's always going to be somebody that's going to fucking exploit that fact. There's always one asshole. Again, I'm not arguing for that either way, but there's always
yeah.
one asshole. It doesn't matter what their fucking gender is or whatever. There's always just going to be one fucking asshole that fucks it up for
Hmm.
everybody else. That's just that's how we've made so many
And then,
laws and how things have changed. But again, things are gray. Not everyone in each situation is going to act the same way. You know,
yeah.
not every
And then,
violence case is the same violence case. Not every theft case is the same theft case. It's gonna be depending on the situation, the circumstance, the variables, what the past person's actions were like, what their potential future actions are like, what their mental stability is, what their mental instability is. There's so many different factors that go into these different things that I don't think people take into account for that stuff, man. Well, I think
Exactly.
I don't think people think about that too much. But I think in all these circumstances they do take account for it. But I think the average person doesn't think about how many factors really do go into a lot of these different social and political topics, issues, or even like just criminal issues and stuff like that. There are so
I,
many circumstance situations for each one.
we had that conversation one time too, since you primarily the focus was going to law school
Yep.
and whatnot for a long time.
Yep. For
So
now,
it
that's
came
on
into a thing.
hiatus, but
It's okay. Like
yeah.
I don't fucking know what I'm still debating on whether or not I want to actually enroll in the school that I fucking work for.
Fair enough.
If I want to go for like a general
Yeah.
bachelor's of IT, specialized in cybersecurity or something,
Hmm.
or if I want to just get a business degree since I
Yeah.
keep trying to fucking set up my own company and whatnot and
I
work
still
for
think you
myself.
should. Well,
Yeah.
I'll let you know how this.
I decide which one I want to do.
No, that's fair. That's fair. You know why? I can't. I can't talk about it as of right now. There, personal reasons why I can't. Of
Hmm.
course, with why I may not go into law school at the moment. But when it comes to business stuff, I mean, I'll let you know how it goes once I finish setting up my bullshit. Again, I can't talk. Funny enough, I can't talk about that yet either. We were just talking about that before we started because it's not
Well,
official or anything
we
yet.
were having
But
conversations for like better part of like fucking 7 years now about setting up
yeah,
companies and going into business
mm-hmm,
together and doing this thing or that thing.
yeah.
And it's just part of our problem is just that
I still
it's
think you
hard to
should.
fucking do that. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I still
I
think you
would
should for all the stuff you do for people personally. But
I can't think well, and I can't think of anybody that I wouldn't actually trust to go into business with
yeah,
other
that's
than
fine.
you.
I appreciate
I
that.
no
It goes
offense to
both
my
ways.
mom, but I wouldn't even go into business with my own mother. I would
Oh,
help
I
her with
wouldn't.
her business, but I wouldn't
Yeah,
be
I
involved
wouldn't.
with her business.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
either.
But that's
Yeah,
mostly just
no.
because the track record and the statistics for starting companies with family are fucking dog shit. You've told me a couple stories about situations that you were aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
I know people who have done the same kind of thing too, and it's a fucking nightmare. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it's possible for people to go into something without offending somebody. It's like the fucking movie The Social Network. It's a good example of that. It's like, oh, y'all started out as friends and then money got involved and now it's a fucking problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that is it's hard to avoid.
Yep. I
Yeah.
think you have to be either able to offend each other and it be okay, or be able to discuss said offended, be able to understand and move on from it. If you can't do
Hmm.
that, you're not going to survive because at some point you're going to piss somebody off and you're going to be like, oh, okay, well, you know what? Fuck them. I'm going to take a little bit more money this time because didn't I earn it? That's always how that ends up happening. It's the same thing that happened with my family. Business money got involved with it because someone else got pissed off at somebody else. It's all
Yep.
it a lot of the time, sure, it's about the money, but it's also about how the interactions go down with each person. And because said
Hmm.
interactions happen, that pisses them off to the point where they think that they're owed more and they deserve more. And that's partially a problem too. People think that they deserve something or they're owed this. Oh, because I did this, don't I deserve that? No, you don't fucking deserve anything. The only thing you can get out there is
Especially if
something.
you didn't negotiate your fucking contract well.
Yeah, the only thing you deserve to get is what you've gone out and earned yourself. Like, I'm sorry, like people think that they deserve stuff. Like, anything can be taken from you at any point in time. Um, how many
And that's
people?
relative to your situation too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, saying you deserve something, that's again, that's relative. You
Hmm.
might. It's always possible you might, but that doesn't guarantee you're
Yeah.
going to get it. Nothing in this life is guaranteed. Nothing.
Hmm.
Nothing ever has been. Nothing ever will be. That's just.
And that even depending on what we're talking about too, that's a pretty like strict and straightforward and standard like fucking thing.
Mhm.
Like with the
Again, it's
story
very black and
and
white,
stuff. If
but
I ever actually finish it,
I think you will.
you've already stated to me that you don't care if I include you in any of the stuff that comes of that.
Yep.
But I feel an obligation to do so. And on like in a legal sense, you saying that you don't want it, but then me immediately going no, but I feel like I have to that could create an interesting case
Hmm.
legally in court between the two of us of like okay so which one of these promises
If
do we
that
need to
ever,
honor
yeah, if that ever came to pass, right? Um,
exactly.
and in that regard, in that situation, most likely it would fall in my favor because you've stated publicly that you didn't mind. But at the same time, all I would have to do is say, I don't care. I relinquish my rights or whatever the case is. And because I've already done that, technically, then I hold no rights to that. So
And that also creates an interesting one too, because that would create a thing like, well, hold on a second, like I might be the primary author, and the a certain percentage of this intellectual property is mine, but
Hmm.
the intellectual property wouldn't exist had he not came
You know
up
what
with the
it?
idea of the story in the first place. So at where's the line
Hmm.
of how much you
You know
should
what's
get in
funny?
royalties?
Right, that's fair. I'll take 5%. You can take 95. We'll just
We'll
make a
cross that bridge if I ever finish the fucking book.
we'll just put the number out there then. I'll take 5. You can take 95. But no, this actually, all joking aside, this is actually the part of the problem that Bob Kane had with, was it Bill Finger, the creators of Batman, where Bob Kane took sole proprietor ownership for fucking the better half of 50 years, only for it recently to come out that it what excuse me, it wasn't just him. So all this time, the other, I think it was Bill Finger. I'd have to look it up, but I don't have my phone near me at the moment. Um, all this time he took sole proprietorship, sole ownership, but it was a co-ownership of both of them, and it all came down to um, it being a verbal agreement thing. So I think it's kind of funny. We're like the opposite of this situation because we're both so worried that we're gonna fuck the other person over that we just won't do it. Whereas the other situation, it's like the exact opposite. They were like, oh, blah blah blah, and it just fucking completely went off tangent. That is kind of honestly, whoop, hey, there's my mic. That is one of the nicer things about the internet nowadays, is because people are held. Now, it's partially a problem, sure, because it's like, oh, now everything you say on the internet, it's fucking gospel. Even though human beings change, like we evolve and we change our opinions and our thoughts. Just because we have
Mhm.
one opinion now doesn't mean a couple years from now. You had a perfect example of that one vegan person from a few years back who changed their perception later. However, people will still always have that perception of the other one. However, of the old version.
Oh yeah, as long as you
However,
leave those videos, as long as the
yep.
rebuttals to them exist,
Mm-hmm.
and that version of you is there. Just like I haven't deleted any of the shit that I've said to people on iFunny and stuff
Yep.
like that. So if you go back to like when I first signed on to iFunny, started arguing with these people, you're gonna see a version of me that's doing the shit that I do not permit, that I do not agree with as being permissible now,
Right.
because I like, you know what? That's not an appropriate way for me to conduct myself in a way that makes people actually want to listen to what I have to say.
Right.
And that's one of those things that comes up in conversation a lot too. I learned this from watching somebody else who was doing that exact type of thing. He started out being like, "You're fucking stupid," every time he was responding to that stuff, but then he started actually getting into the debates with people. It's different if we're watching a clip of this and reacting to it,
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna have a different response to this in the hindsight than we will in the moment of it happening. So
Makes sense.
when he started doing debates, it started going like, maybe I should conduct myself better, because if I'm conducting myself poorly in this conversation, that's going to reflect badly on my stance, on the people that associate with me later on. So how do I make this better? And it was like, I think it was at like when VidCon was actually a thing before YouTube decided to shit themselves. Uh,
Is VidCon still a
during the
thing?
process. I don't know. I haven't heard anything
Because
about it since like 2017.
I know there's a couple people that I follow on Twitter and they follow me back. What the fuck is
Mhm.
his name? Internet AJ. He does a lot of the
Oh,
Rise and oh yeah, Rexsteady. Go follow Rexsteady on Twitter. He's a good guy. It's funny. Got a lot of post a lot of good shit. Internet AJ. I follow him on Twitter. He was posting about VidCon. Nice guy too, by the way. He's pretty cool. He was posting about VidCon a while ago because he was gonna go because he had passed I think 200,000 subscribers or something like that, and fucking
qualifies you for a ticket, basically.
or something like that. Yeah, and he was hyped to go and intermingle with people and all that shit, but then like they ended up canceling because of COVID and stuff. So I don't know if VidCon's still a thing. I imagine so. I'm not going there anytime soon. But
I hadn't been aware of anything VidCon related since the whole thing with like Gamergate and all that shit.
oh yeah,
Which I'm still not 100% sure I actually understand what the fuck everything was happening there. I know on one
I don't
side
think
you had
anybody.
people who were like, everything's sexist. And it's like, and then you had people on the other side that are like, just let me fucking play Halo, bitch.
You notice
And
who's not
everybody that
around
was in
anymore,
between those two extremes.
and yet there is no Anita Sarkeesian anymore. She made her money and she fucking dipped.
I think she's still trying to make more money. I don't know.
Is
It's
she? I
hard.
don't
It's
know.
hard.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What I
Now
will.
now we have internet communists who are like, yeah, workers' rights, bro. And then it's like, didn't you just buy a $2 million like mansion? basically.
Are you talking about Nico Lols or any of them really? Actually, that's a good
Any of
point.
them, all of
Yeah,
them.
there was what's her face, Pokimane or whatever, that was like capitalism is like the sheerest form of insanity or whatever, and then she put a tweet out where it was like,
This face makes more money than you ever will in your life.
yeah, or some shit like
Yeah,
that.
and it's like,
There was a guy that I follow. I think his name is Gundam Planet. I don't remember. We follow each other on Twitter. He's a funny guy though. He had posted like, "Oh, this isn't gonna age well." Literally, the next tweet down was from comment cop, and like he literally had retweeted the Pokimane tweet where it was like, "Oh, this face makes more." He's like, "Oh," and he's like, "This is gonna age well." The next fucking tweet down was comment cop actually posting her initial tweet talking about how capitalism is bad. I just fucking laughed. I'm like, you guys are fucking dumbasses, man. Like,
he's got no room to talk either, too, because he's in that wheelhouse of like the shitty simp dudes who used to make fun of people for doing this kind
oh,
of
is
stuff,
he? Oh, okay.
and
I
now,
didn't
yeah,
know.
and
Wait,
his
wait, not
girlfriend
not
has an OnlyFans, and
not
it's like,
content cop, not content cop,
oh,
not what the fuck was his name? iDubbbz, not iDubbbz. There's
yeah.
a guy on Twitter who calls himself comment cop. He has a
Ah,
picture of Chris Hansen with police hat on and his eyes are white. I don't know if anybody actually knows who this person is, but they basically go around and they save a bunch of tweets made by people, and just in case they have to fucking call them out later, and he fucking calls them out like every time. So I don't know if it's a he or a she. I have no fucking idea. All I know is I follow them and they're funny. So if you want to
I
watch
like it when
someone,
they do that kind of stuff because like that whole thing's gonna die as soon as he ends up in the same position as Save a Click. Love that guy.
I don't know who's ever clicking.
Literally Save a Click is like I click on links so you don't have to, and then he just posts the pictures of the fucking
Oh god.
bullshit clickbait article in there. And it's like this is what it was talking about. Here's the picture of it's always something stupid like little Hercules has changed so much, and you'll never believe what he looks like now. And it's like he looks the same. He's just short.
He's just fucking short now. Oh god. Not to what do you know what time it is right now by chance? Because I don't have a clock in here.
Uh, 8:40.
8:40.
I
Okay.
don't know how long we've been going.
We've been going about an hour, so I think it might be good. Or maybe like an hour and a half. Might be good to start wrapping it up. Unfortunately, I'm fucking
Okay,
falling asleep. I want to play some Elden
I'm
Ring
sorry.
before. No, no, you're good. I want to play some Elden Ring before I go to bed. I thank you for coming on tonight, man. I know this was kind of spur of the moment, but I was like, fuck, it's been a while since we've done it off the cuff. We need to fucking do one of
I'm
these.
happy to.
Yeah,
This is a good like in between kind of a thing,
yeah.
and
It was nice.
yeah, actually, if it wasn't for off the cuff being a concept, I wouldn't have Halcyon and Bedlam. So this is great.
To
I'm
be
always happy
fair,
to do these.
to be fair, of Halcyon and Bedlam came first though. So
Only it was
so I
posted
mean,
first, but the idea was yours.
so that we'll I'll take a 50-50 then. We'll do fifty
Yeah.
fifty on the creation then. So
So, yeah, I guess we'll call it that too, because like literally the birth of both of these things comes from the fact that we would have these conversations, and then we would
either
just
way,
like.
yeah.
I hate that we keep trying to reference the conversations we had previously, but we can't remember all the details. So that we just
Yeah.
like let's just fucking record it and put it on YouTube, and
Yep.
then Halcyon and Bedlam,
Yep.
which 3 months to come up with that name. So I hope that fucking turns into something. That's the.
I hope it does.
I feel I'm owed.
I want you don't deserve shit. Remember we just fucking discussed this 5 minutes ago. Uh,
No, it's more so
I
just
want a
like
t-shirt
I put more effort into that. I thought it was super clever,
of
and
Halcyon and Bedlam.
yeah, actually, it's funny because it reminds. I saw an echo of it too because I put that up there and I
Hmm.
was like all excited. But I was like, this is a great fucking name. Put it up there. The same thing happened to Sargon of Akkad when he started his own like news station thing
Hmm.
called LotusEaters.com.
Yep.
And is like it's because he loves the Odyssey, and
Great
the
book.
reference to it is that had they stayed on the island of the Lotus Eaters, nobody would have died. It would have been
Yeah.
an objectively better way for them to live, was just to stay at the place where it's good and safe and they're happy, rather than no, let's keep going, and then like 90% of your people die before they leave the fucking island because of the
Yep.
Cyclops and shit. So it's like, good job, Odysseus, you fucking asshole.
Yep.
But
Odyssey's one of my favorite
but yeah,
stories of all time, so I get him
right.
there.
And I feel bad because it's like he definitely put more like trust in his audience to be
Hmm.
more well read than they actually were, and
Whoops.
I don't want to make it sound like I was one of those people that's just like I understood the reference because the only reason I remembered the Island of the Lotus Eaters was a thing because I read the Iliad, I didn't read the Odyssey,
Hmm.
because I'm a pleb. And
Look, here's what.
the only reason I know about the Lotus Eaters is because of the fucking Percy Jackson movie. So
Oh, and then
I, I
good
have no
series though
claim.
too. Movies, I've never
Mhm,
seen the movies. I saw the ending of the first movie, but I've read a couple of the books. Um,
mhm.
when I say a couple, I mean the first one. It was good. I liked it. Anyway, so with that, what's funny with the Iliad? Like I know there's gonna be some people that hate me on this, but I didn't care
Bro,
for
I
the
don't even
Iliad.
remember most of the Iliad.
That's my problem too.
It's not that good.
With the Odyssey,
I'm
I'm
sorry,
sure.
Mark.
Look, I'm sure back in the day the Iliad was fucking fantastic, but I'm gonna just come out and say it. I don't think it's that great. Like I've read through it once. I can't
Mhm.
tell you one fucking thing that happened. Like and I'm sure there's gonna be people like, oh well, Achilles did this. Okay, there.
Great.
What's funny is
I remember more from the short story of Jason and the Argonauts.
yes, absolutely. Well, okay. Here's the funny thing, right? Like the Iliad, everyone says is like an action. Like, oh, if you want an adventure story, read the Odyssey. If you want the action book, you read the Iliad. Bullshit. Bull fucking shit. I can't tell you anything interesting. No, again, I'm not trying to completely shit on the Iliad because I do think it deserves its place in the pantheon of literature and whatnot. However, if we're going to compare it to the Odyssey, I don't think it holds a candle. I think the Odyssey is way better because I may not be able to tell you word for word or name for name because I'm fucking shit at doing that in general, but I can remember moments from the Odyssey. I
Mhm.
remember when Achilles got his fucking ankle shot. Okay. And then Athena keeps showing up in the story. That's about
I,
as much as was it Athena or was it somebody else? I'm trying to remember. I know Athena
I
was in the
genuinely
Odyssey.
don't know.
Right. I know a god shows up. I know because I know Athena was guiding Odysseus. See, I know this. I know the Odyssey. Odyssey is a better story. The
Mhm.
Iliad, I'm sure I'm gonna get fucking so much hate, and that's
You know
fine.
what it's
But
like? One of them is Paul Blart Mall Cop, and then the other one is
Die Hard.
Observe and Report.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
fair.
like that. It's the same fucking movie, but one of them is terrible, and the other one's like, okay, that's funny.
That's
Why is
pretty
there a
good.
sequel?
Yeah, I genuinely enjoyed Paul Blart Mall Cop. What can I say, right?
It,
Like, I never saw
the
the
second
sequel.
one, fucking awful.
I never
It's
watched it.
so bad.
First one's
It's so
surprisingly
bad.
not that bad. You know, give it a watch if you haven't watched
You
it,
get
people.
comedies, grade them on a curve, unless it's like, oh God,
See,
no,
now I want to
actually, I've
watch
been
the
meaning to
fucking
tell you
and I
this.
want to read the Iliad again just to make sure I'm
So
not fucking retarded.
I think I think I showed you one or two of this guy's TikToks, but this is the guy that did the whole like Adam's Family and Gotham series
Yes,
thing
you showed
on
me that.
TikTok.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. He does another short one that's like it's like sporadic, but it's like a historian is friends with an immortal, and they're fucking hilarious.
I don't know if you showed me
The
that one.
last was great because the last one I saw, he's just like, "Hey, we're gonna go see this a play. Did you want to come?" And he's just like, "Oh, cool. What which one are you guys going to see?" And he goes like, West Side Story," and he goes, "Ah, fuck you." And he's just like, "Okay, that was a strong reaction. Explain." And he goes, just like, "You fucking kids with your thing. You think oh Shakespeare's this like blah 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 blah." And he just gets into this like old man rant about like how this is like a shitty fucking thing. He's just like he's literally one of the greatest authors to ever exist. And he goes like, "Yeah, in the same way that Adam Sandler is one of the greatest movie makers to ever exist." And he goes like, because he's taken super offense to it and stuff. And I think that's the thing that just keeps echoing in history. The thing that was just the plebeian lowest common denominator thing at one point in time eventually becomes further down the line through the generations the thing that the snobby assholes hold on to so much, like when opera died out for musicals, and then musicals have always kind of taken a backseat to like stage plays and shit like
Yep.
that. But when stage theater started dying out to movies because it's more accessible, it's easier to do,
Hmm.
it's cheaper to make overall as a result of that same
Which
kind of
is why
stuff. So
streaming services are killing the movie theaters.
yeah, and also why long streaming services served such a great purpose for being able to tell a longer story in a more digestible format.
Hmm.
Whereas like TV, you could do kind of the same thing, but it's their TV is basically the modern Penny Dreadful. But streaming services is
Mm.
where you get to do stuff like tell an actual really good, long, concise version of a series of novels. Whereas like movies are like, this is a one shot good. concise piece of thing that's supposed to be amazing. And so it's like literally like the difference between the two is the difference between a singular novel, something like think like something in between a Penny Dreadful and like a uh trying to think of his name, Ernest Hemingway book, because
Hmm.
none of his shit's connected. It's literally like here's just an interesting story about a dude. Everything in between those two extremes. Like, hey, here's something that's entertaining, here's something that's interesting. And then TV shows get to be in this awkward, like amazing middle ground where it's either like, hey, here's just a series of like really quick, you're gonna like that, and then the other one is like, hey, here's this like fucking French dinner where it's just this long, exceedingly complicated and difficult thing to
Hmm.
make, but the whole thing as a picture is amazing. So
You know
yeah,
what's sad though? Speaking of all of that, culminating, it does do my heart sad that Penny Dreadful, the show, which I think was so well crafted, so good.
first two seasons, yeah,
First two seasons were amazing, and then they fucked up the third season, and
yep,
it was just, and it's because they canceled it. Like that they were building up Dracula and all that to be the big bad of probably like season
oh,
4, season 5. They had the Immortals that finally came into play. Those were going to be
hmm,
big characters, and they don't do fucking anything with them.
yeah, and it turns out he's like a fallen angel and not like,
Yeah, not
oh,
actually.
one's the one that works in the shadows, and
Yeah,
that's the angel Lucifer, and then there's Dracula. He's the one that exists in the world and drinks the blood of man, and it's like,
yeah. You could tell that they were rushing that third season, and it's sad because um it was such a good show. Josh Hartnett, fucking such an underrated goddamn actor. Ava Green, was that her name? Ava Green. Um,
yeah,
I
God,
mean,
I love her.
I do too, and it's a shame because she's not doing as. I mean, she's still famous and she still does a lot of stuff, but she's not at the same level I think as she should be.
Hmm.
If you've never watched Penny Dreadful, which considering the fact that the show got canceled because not a lot of people were watching it, go back and watch it. At least the first two seasons, you'll be genuinely surprised. The fact that it was called Penny Dreadful and TV is the Penny Dreadful, but the way that they wrote this show and they did it. I mean, one of the twists you'll see coming for sure, like the werewolf and all this. You'll figure it out. You're not fucking stupid. Anybody that's hasn't seen it, you'll
I got
figure it out.
mixed thoughts about that because I like George R. R. Martin is my favorite person to quote in reference to this
Yep.
too, because it's like if you set everything up for this, like the butler did it. That's your twist for the mystery. The butler did it. You've set this up, you've planned it out, you've done all this stuff, but then you make the mistake of reading an online review and they guess that the butler did it, and now you're like, oh shit, well I have to change it. Why?
Hmm.
Why? Reward that person
Yeah, for
for
figuring it
putting.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Because it's like, okay,
that's a good
it's like I
point.
have this, yeah, and I have this thing. It's like just because this random asshole loved this story enough to figure it out, that doesn't make you stupid, and you're not gonna impress anybody by going, it was actually the maid. No,
Da-da-da!
you're just gonna piss everybody off with that because then
Yep.
they're like, the butler did it. I want to see how this unfolds. I want to see this event. This is gonna be great. You've been teasing it. You've been setting
A
it up. It's gonna
twist
be
for the
amazing.
sake of a twist is never a good thing. M. Night
Yeah,
Shyamalan is fucking ungodly guilty of doing that, unfortunately.
that's what I was gonna say too. It's like talking to you, Shyamalan.
Yeah. There you go. See, I was that asshole that ruined it and then still paid off.
See, yeah, that's exactly who everybody's gonna think of for that too. Just because it's just like, oh, it's a twist for the sake of it being. Why is it? Why did you just put it? I get that you're the twist guy, but you can still do a twist and it be good because people are coming here. Like, I
Yeah.
don't watch a Wes Anderson movie expecting high octane action. So if he just randomly pulls that out there because he wants to subvert like what people expect from him, why would you do that? It's
Yeah, it
like
makes no fucking
If
sense.
Quentin Tarantino and Wes Anderson just decided to like do that to people, just be like, "Hey, I'm a little bit more diverse than you thought I was," and it's just like you can do that and still keep pulling off the same reason why we're here, man. Michael Bay has
Yeah.
been doing that. As much as I fucking hate his movies, I cannot argue with the fact that I think the first movie he ever made that lost money was one of the Transformers movies, and he's
Probably. The Rock made a
yeah,
lot of money. Not the superstar, but the movie The Rock. If you've never watched it, it's Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage. It's basically a James Bond movie without it being a James Bond movie. It's fucking amazing if
yeah.
you've never watched it. The
They
Rock,
heavily
Bad
imply that
Boys.
he is James Bond, but they
Oh
don't
yeah,
actually say it.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they were trying to do, but they couldn't secure the rights to it
Mhm.
because Sean Connery's literally playing From Russia with Love, James Bond, just without it being that character in name only. So, um, yeah, fucking great. Good movie. But anyway, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Rec,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
can they find you if they want to find more Rec Steady? Which again,
Here, it doesn't
yep.
matter. You can look up Halcyon and Bedlam. You'll see more of this beautiful fucking asshole. Wait, am I? Are you on
You're on
this
the
side for
other
me, or are
side.
you on
Other
this?
side. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, you can see more of this beautiful asshole,
Yep.
all of his glory, or at least hear him anyway, because mine's just a fucking background, which I'm working on improving and that kind of stuff too. And then if anybody has any suggestions for topics and stuff like that, you're welcome to put it on there. I've only got 15 subscribers, and if it builds up, great. If not, then I just have a relic that I can look back on and enjoy memories of speaking with my friends. So,
I go back and listen to them every once in a while too. I think they're
mhm.
fun,
And
personally.
if you want to
So.
see me being a shitlord, you can go on Twitter and read through a fucking 2 week long argument that I had with people about
uh,
pit bulls because they are
yep.
not fucking evil and you're an asshole for thinking they are. Anyway,
Oh
that's
god,
what I
that's my
got. You're
crotch.
up.
That's my crotch. That's my crotch. I was gonna say, there's a pit bull right there. There he is. He's hiding under
and
the
he is
pillow.
and he is sweet as a pea. He's only lunged at me one time and it was my own. I'm actually I don't have any room to talk. I'm the type of person that could get like arrested, bit by the fucking police dog, and
Uh
then
huh.
as they're bandaging me up in the squad car, I'd be like,
I'm
"So
sorry,
what's his
bud.
name?
Yeah. All right. What's his name? How old is he?
Can I pet
You
him?
give him a pet. Yeah.
Does he like bacon?" And they'll just be like, "You like, oh, he's just doing his job. He did it well. He got me."
Yeah. Yeah. Good old Gray. He's been through a lot in his life, unfortunately. So, alrighty.
Unfortunately, but
Yeah.
anyway,
Alrighty, man.
you're
Well,
up.
thank you for coming on here. Hang tight just a quick second. I'm gonna get more content out eventually. We're moving in. I did start a new job, sort of, maybe. Not ready to announce that yet. Hopefully be able to announce that soon. But I do got some more vids coming out, and you'll definitely see more of this handsome ass Antonio Banderas lookalike motherfucker right here, and more off the cuffs. Anyway, Rec, thanks again for coming on. I appreciate you and love you as always. Everyone, thanks for taking the time to listen to this. Make sure you keep things light and rebellious. Rex, say your catchphrase.
I don't care if you like, share, subscribe. Go fuck yourself.
Thanks everyone for watching. Hang tight just a quick second.